Money makes the world go round. But there's one part of money most people don't fully understand, and that's credit and debt. We hear these words everywhere: your credit score, credit card debt, student loans, interest rates, but few people actually stop to ask, what does it really mean to have credit? And what does it mean to be in debt? If you ever felt confused about how borrowing works or worried about building your financial future, this video is for you, because today I'm going to be breaking it all down: what credit and debt really mean, why they matter so much, and how you could use them to your advantage instead of letting them destroy your peace of mind. So grab a drink, take a seat, let's make sense of the money system that runs our life. But before we get into it, remember, this is not financial advice. If you need financial advice, please seek a financial advisor or a professional. Do not take financial advice from YouTube videos without adequate research. So let's start simple. What does credit and debt really mean? So credit means borrowed money. It's the trust a lender gives you when they say, hey, well, you use our money now and you pay us back later. Debt, on the other hand, is what you owe once you've borrowed it. It's the balance that sits there until you pay it off. You can think of it like this: credit is the permission to borrow. Debt is the result of using that permission. For example, if the bank gives you 5 G's, that's credit. The moment you spend 2 G's of it, it becomes debt. Two sides of the same coin. But here's where it gets interesting. How you manage that borrowed money determines your financial reputation, your credit worthiness. So why should credit matter more than you think? Well, credit's about trust. It's a promise. A lender saying, well, we trust you to pay us back. But it's also proof. The financial system doesn't just take your word for it. They want evidence, a track record that shows how you handle your money. And that's where your credit history and your credit score come in. A credit score is like a financial report card in high school. It's a number that represents how reliable you are when it comes to paying back borrowed money. If you ever see numbers like 750, 670, 520, that's your credit score range. It's based on factors like how often you make your payments on time, how much of your available credit you're using, how long you've had open accounts, the types of cards or types of credits you're using. That could be loans, home equity line of credits, credit cards, and whether you've had any recent hard inquiries or new loans. So the simple truth: high credit score opens some doors, low credit score closes those same doors. With a credit score, you qualify for better loans, lower rates, even job opportunities or rental approvals, as a lot of people are doing credit checks on that stuff now. With a weak score, everything becomes harder and more expensive. So let's put that in perspective. If you have a high credit score, let's say 760 or up, you might get approved for a car loan with a lower rate. Think 5 to 7%. But if your score is poor, maybe around 550, that same loan can come from a buy now, pay later place with 15 to 20%. That means you can pay back thousands of extra dollars just because your credit score says you suck at paying people back. So yes, credit matters a lot more than most people think. It's not just about borrowing, it's about financial opportunity. So let's understand this debt. Debt is not automatically bad. In fact, debt can be an incredible tool when used wisely. Two kinds of debt: good debt and bad debt. So this definition kind of runs loose, but it roughly looks like this. Good debt is money you borrow that helps you build long-term value. So this could be student loans that could increase your earning potential. Now, student loans become bad debt if you don't finish your schooling. A mortgage that helps you own property, or a business loan that could help you generate income. These types of debt can increase your net worth if you manage them correctly. On the other hand, bad debt is borrowing for things that lose value or don't bring future returns. That includes high interest credit card debt, or mostly high interest credit card spending on things that aren't essential. Payday loans are horrible. Or if you're financing, rings, watches, chains, whatever, that you can't afford. The danger with bad debt is that it often snowballs. You pay interest on top of interest, and the money you owe gets harder to pay off. Debt becomes a trap when you're using tomorrow's money to pay for yesterday's lifestyle. And so the key is this: debt should serve you and your goals. It should not control you and your goals. So how do they work together? You need credit to build credit. You need to use it to build it. If you never borrow money, lenders have no idea how responsible you are. So ironically, the only way to prove you can handle debt is by taking a little bit of it. You could go the Dave Ramsey route and just not use any of it at all and do everything cash, which is also an option. But if you're going to use credit, trick is to use it strategically. Using credit card for small regular purchases like groceries or gas, paid off in full each month before the interest kicks in. Doing that shows lenders you can borrow responsibly, and it keeps your debt balance at zero. It's the perfect balance, using credit but not living in debt. This habit builds your score, and you never pay a cent in interest. Many people fall into the trap of using credit cards as an extension of their income, thinking I'll just pay it later, and that's when credit turns into a crushing debt. Let's be clear. It's a tool. It's not free money. When used wisely, it opens doors to stability and opportunity, but when abused, it will close them hard. I've made some poor financial decisions in my life. That's how I learned a lot of this stuff. And so I've gotten out of a lot of these situations. I want to kind of get into the emotional and mental toll on it now, because money is emotional and debt is even more emotional. Carrying debt creates stress, anxiety, and even shame. You feel like you're constantly behind, trying to catch up on something that never ends. That's because debt is more than numbers. It's mental weight. You're not just paying off the balance. You're fighting off the feeling of being trapped. That's why it's so important to understand why you borrow money. Are you using credit to invest in your future or to escape the present? If it's the second one, you need to hit pause. Because credit used for instant gratification, these are your shopping sprees, impulse buys, lifestyle inflation, always ends in regret. But when you use it for strategic reasons, like buying a home, I just signed a mortgage last year, financing education, I'm starting to pay off my student loans, or starting a business, it can be empowering. Debt used wisely can actually build freedom and not destroy it. So how do you build good credit from scratch? Well, if you're new to credit or you're trying to rebuild, here's how to start. You get a starter credit card or a secured card. A lot of banks do a secured card. You put like $200 to $500 on it, and that's your credit limit. But that $200 to $500 is a deposit. They hold it as collateral, so the cash is there to constantly pay it off. But it helps you build history. So it does take a little bit more time, but it helps the history. Always pay on time. Payment history makes up about like 35% of your credit score, so one late payment can drop you pretty significantly. And keep the utilization low. Don't max your cards out. Use less than 30% of your available limit. If your limit's $1,000, keep your balance under $300. Keep your accounts open. Length of credit history matters. Don't close old cards unless you have a really good reason. They help you build your score by showing long-term reliability. I'm a little bit iffy on this one. I've had cards close on. I had a card. I don't want to say cards. I had a card close on me just because I forgot to use it for a year, and I was young. I was dumb. But I'm also not in the habit of giving yourself more opportunities to forget something, which I did for a year apparently. So keep that in mind. If you haven't touched something and you're just using it for gas, you could probably close that, depending on if you have something closer in history. And then monitor your credit. You're entitled to a free credit report from each bureau every year. You can get it from annualcreditreport.com. Check it for errors, frauds, because this shit happens. Doing those 5 things will help you build your credit score and your financial reputation. Now, I've already been deep in debt. So what if you're in debt? How do you get out of it? What if you're paying multiple cards? I haven't had that problem. High interest, you're barely keeping up. The worst I've ever been, I had student loans, a credit card, and a car note. So a lot of people are in these situations, like millions of people in this situation. It's actually more common to borrow money than it is to save money, which is fucking nuts. Face numbers. List them down. This is huge because it gives you an understanding of what you're actually looking at and what you have to go through. So list every debt you owe, balances, interest rate, payment minimums, and you can't fix what you don't know. Pick a payoff strategy. There's 2 popular methods. There's a snowball, which you pay off your smallest debt first, and each time you clear one, roll that payment into the next one. It builds momentum and motivation. So if you have 5 student loans and one of them is $11, but your payment is $150 a month, you keep that and it auto allocates the $11 to the other 4 loans and so on and so forth. Next is the avalanche method. Focus on the debt with the highest interest rate first. This saves you the most money in the long term. Both work, but what matters is consistency. Now, mine's a little bit different than this. I chose things that won't come back. That's kind of like, I choose to get rid of loans before I get rid of credit cards. That's my theory. But whatever works for you guys. Step 3, stop adding new debt. You can't dig out of a hole if you keep digging the fucking hole. So don't use any new credit until you're in control. Negotiate your cards if needed. Call your creditors. Many will reduce your interest rate or work out a payment plan if you're proactive. Step 5, automate the progress. Set automatic payments for at least the minimum due, and this prevents late fees and protects your credit score. Remember, getting out of debt isn't about being perfect, it's about being persistent. So why go through this? Good credit is financial freedom. It means lower interest rates on everything from cars to houses, easier approvals for apartments and loans, better insurance premiums, and even better job opportunities. If you want to work in the financial industry, a lot of them do credit checks. In short, good credit saves you money and stress, but more than that, gives you multiple options. You could buy, invest, borrow when opportunities arise instead of watching them pass by. And the best part is once you build good credit, maintaining it is simple. Spend wisely, pay on time, never borrow more than you can repay. So the real thing is here, you need to control it, not fear it. Credit and debt aren't villains. They're tools, very, very powerful tools in the world today. Use responsibly, credit can help you grow, achieve, and build your wealth. And use recklessly, you could put yourself in a very, very, very big hole. So the goal isn't to fear your credit, it's to master it, because the people who win financially aren't the ones who avoid credit altogether. They're the ones who understand how to use it intelligently. Credit isn't free money, it's borrowed trust. Debt isn't failure, it's a responsibility. So handle both and you'll find financial stability isn't just impossible. It's actually very, very, very possible. Final thoughts. Credit is borrowed money, measured trust. Debt is what you owe after using the credit, and managing both well builds reputation, opportunity, and freedom. Misusing them leads to stress, limits, and long-term loss. Credit score isn't a number, it's your financial story. It tells the world whether you keep your promises or not. So start writing a good one, pay on time, stay within your means, use credit as a tool, not a crutch. And remember, financial success doesn't come from luck, it comes from knowledge, patience, and smart habits. If you learned something today, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and share it with somebody who needs to hear it, because financial literacy isn't about money, it's about freedom. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.